Welcome, Leo, Lucci, Ben, and Eddie. Today we are going to discuss what is a Scrum Master or what isn't a Scrum Master. What do you think that they do? I'm not really sure some days. So today we're going to talk about it. So throwing it to the group, when you were in this role, what have you done that you were like, that doesn't sound like it fits the description and what I signed up for? Or maybe it did, and you were surprised by that. In my earlier days, I thought I was supposed to be a note taker and take all of the notes, and then was responsible for holding all of the knowledge for the team, and no one absorbed anything. And then it was on me to impart that knowledge, which could be a Scrum Master's role, but I don't think it was a very productive thing for me to do for the team, since I was the one who had all of the knowledge. That kind of backfired for that team. So I learned quickly not to be that person.
I'm looking at the graphic on the screen now, and I've seen a whole bunch of this. And some of this is kind of inflicted upon Scrum Masters, and some of it's assumed by Scrum Masters. For example, the hero is a great one. I think not a great behavior to exhibit, but it's one I see quite often and makes me chuckle, where the Scrum Master is coming in to save the day, like the kind of orchestrator or the conductor of an orchestra, almost. Like everyone would fail unless the hero Scrum Master is there, which is I guess what some people would call a Scrum smell, or certainly an anti-pattern. So that one makes me laugh, and I've seen that a lot.
Ben, can you give a few specific examples? Like, how does that show up?
Yeah, I think it's they probably stand at the front during a stand-up. They probably stand in the middle of a semicircle of people. Probably they're the ones moving tickets across the boards. Probably they're checking that everyone has spoken to everyone else, or everyone has the information they need. They're prescribing things rather than asking questions in a lot of time. So they really make themselves at the center of that, almost. And you have to ask yourself why. Like, why do they feel the need to be in that position? And honestly, I watch some people, and certainly sometimes it's from a job security point of view. Like, if I am seen to be orchestrating, if I'm seen to be saving the day here, then I must be providing value. And actually, you can be providing a lot of value without being a hero. So that's something I think some people miss.
Yeah, and one could argue that if you take a step back and you're more hands-off, you're providing even more value, because the team won't rely on you as so much. I mean, I always say I love my job because my job is to make sure that you guys are so good that you don't need me anymore. And I don't think a lot of people see it that way. So it's an interesting point of view.
I think there is also there's two sides to it, right? So there's a lot that the Scrum Master does that puts himself in that position for whatever reasons. I think as well, a lot of the time the Scrum Master will be either the new individual or the new role that comes with an Agile transformation specifically. And it's very easy for the Scrum Master to become a kind of scapegoat for the effectivity of that Agile transformation. If a team moves to Scrum, it's easy to say, well, if we have a good Scrum Master, then it'll work well. And if we have a bad Scrum Master, then it'll work badly, not realizing all the parts that come about it. So I think the hero is also kind of reflective of sometimes being the kind of face of the change. An organization or a team can have really unrealistic expectations of a Scrum Master and blame all of the shortcomings and we're not estimating properly. Well, then the Scrum Master isn't doing his job very well, but it's so much more than that, right?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the team boss too, and I think people they're either coming from a project management background, and we know how that works. But I think in a lot of cases, people think they're supposed to be doing these things. I don't think they're doing them on purpose to mess anything up. They actually believe I'm the boss of the team. The Scrum Master is the analog of the manager role that I used to have, and I've got to fulfill that role. And to what they were talking about before, I think I'm a worse. The times I've had to be a Scrum Master, I think I'm worse than I was when I first started Agile, when I didn't know anything, because I was forced to allow the team to do everything.
And I think there's like an expectation, right, that's put on you because some people who have their own view of what a Scrum Master is, they do see you as you are the scribe or you are the Scrum Police. I've had so many calls where I'm on just listening and helping to facilitate, and someone will do something in the Jira tool or rally and go, "Oh, Alana's on the call. Like she's going to yell at us if we do this thing, not the way that we're supposed to." And I just laugh because that's not my job to police you. If you don't want to do it the way we agreed to, that's on you. Like, yeah, I told you what you could do and what would work, but I'm not going to ever yell at you. I'm not policing how you use a tool. It's really on the team to be accountable to what they set for themselves. So I always kind of laugh when anyone sees me as any sort of Scrum Agile police or, oh, Alana's going to get upset. Like, I'm not going to get upset. I'll just observe and see how it works out for the team. So I always find that to be very funny.
Yeah, I think there's a nuance there, isn't there? It's like I police isn't the right word, but I will certainly remind people what the rules that they put into place, and I'll remind people the commitments that they made, which is different to saying these are the rules that I made and you must stick to them, or different to these are the rules in the book which we read and you must stick to them. So I think there's a like Scrum Police. Yeah, I agree. It's not part of the role, but there is an element which is reminding people of the rules that they put into place.
I think that this Scrum Police role, it's similar when looking at organizations with leaders and teams. I think that there's a word which is important is control. And many leaders, or maybe a Scrum Master, maybe what is not is to control everything. And that leads people to not genuinely commit to the overall goal of what they are doing of the project. And then that what's happened, let's do it because, or they are afraid, or the Scrum Master is going to punish us, or oh no. And that the same thing happens with leaders, like they are not using Agile. So I think there's a parallelism there between both. And I think that's important as well.
Yeah, I couldn't, I mean, that your point on top of Ben's point nails it perfectly. I've never walked into a team as a coach that had a Scrum Master where the team had working agreements in place. So the Scrum Master is telling them what to do, and Ben's talking about, well, I'm going to remind them to the commitments that they made. That Scrum Master never asked them to commit as a team. He or she came in and basically told them this is how we're going to be doing Agile.
I have to speak to what Ben said earlier, just because Ben has been quite a mentor for me over the last year. And that idea or perspective switch to, instead of going in and prescribing what I think Agile should be or what I think the team is doing wrong, taking a step back and seeing what actually works for the team, not using command and control and not prescribing things, but letting the team fail on their own, letting them talk through it, and letting themselves be accountable for the process that they're deciding they're going to use. And that has made a huge difference in my ability to work with teams because they are buying into their own process. And if they're failing, they're more accountable to what it is that they're doing wrong and to talk to each other about it versus me going in saying, you have to task plan, you have to use story points, this is how you do it. And I've done that before where I was fighting a team on what I thought they absolutely should do, and taking that step back and being more of a hands off and holding the team accountable to what they agreed to has led to results like that I couldn't have gotten using the command and control approach. So that perspective is just different.
Alana, based on your experience, what are the 3 key skills or traits or characteristics of an effective Scrum Master?
I think I don't think that this is necessarily in any Agile handbook, but I think being observing first, just taking a step back and not going in, you don't have to prove to anyone that you read the Scrum handbook. Like no one's going to quiz you. I mean, at least not in the jobs that I've had. Just observe and see what the team dynamics are, understand what's working, what's not working, and just wait to see what the team comes to. Like the team will tell you what they want to improve on. Like eventually they'll say, oh, I think we're really struggling here carrying stories over. Do you think you could help us? Absolutely. Or, oh, I think we're really struggling with story pointing. They'll eventually come to the Scrum Master to ask, like, can you help us with this? And that approach for me has been beneficial because having the team come to you for help versus giving your advice unsolicited has been made a huge difference in terms of the team buying into whatever it is that I can help them with in terms of where they want to improve. So I think observing is really big. I think just not forcing to, whenever I make a suggestion, it's a light suggestion if they want to take it. And I think just being open and being open to like allowing people to fail and making sure no one feels shame. Those are the things that I focus on the most. I mean, you could say, oh, I run a great stand-up, but like it's more of like if you're running anything, then you're probably not doing it right. If you're running it, like everyone should be having a conversation together.
I agree with what you just said, Alana, and I kind of sum it up in one kind of quality, which is a deep respect. Like if you have a deep respect for the people that you work with, all of those things will follow and you will be successful. If you don't have a deep respect, you shouldn't be in that role and you won't be as successful or successful at all.
And Ben, is it respect and also trust?
Yeah, I think trust is an offshoot of the respect. Like if you deeply respect something, then you trust their opinion and vice versa. So yeah, a deep respect. If you approach all of those relationships with a deep respect, think about how those people have got there, you know, what they've been through to get there, what they face on a daily basis. And if you took, not you, Lucci, but if people took the time to understand the challenges that those people face on a daily basis, they would be far less concerned about whether Jira gets filled in or not, and far more concerned about making their lives better. So approaching every aspect of what we do with a deep respect, I think sums up if I had to pick one quality of a coach or a Scrum Master, that would be it.
And I want to add to that, Ben, just to flip it around too. If you find yourself, you're in a position anywhere where you feel like you're fighting for respect, or you feel like you're not respected, and you could feel that ego coming up, I would suggest think of what questions can you be asking to listen more to people? Because when you're open to listening to a team about what they feel are their problems, instead of telling them what their problems are, and you're more of a listener rather than someone who's talking at them, people tend to start to respect you more naturally because they could tell you're actually invested in the way that they feel about their own problems. Whereas I find I've been in positions when I was more green where I felt I wasn't getting the respect because I was prescribing things that weren't fixing what they felt were their problems. So I think just that listening part goes a long way to building that respect and trust to what we're talking about.
Like the idea of treating grown folks like they're grown.
What a wild concept. Let people decide what they want to do and see what happens, right? Awesome stuff. Thank you everyone for joining, for your thoughts. Lior, Lucci, Eddie, Ben, thank you so much. Tell us what you think of Scrum Master in the comments below. Have you been put in weird, funny positions or roles that you weren't quite sure fell under this, just the whatever role that it was that you thought you were in? We'd love to hear from you. Let us know and subscribe to our page. We've got more videos. Thanks.